What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new daily news update. And the media's having a field day. They're having a field day, and we have a midfield list. Actually, I saw a lot of people going mad about it, that the media's putting out scenarios. There's no need to be mad about it. Like, if you believe it, you believe it. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it, because the links, the players who have been linked with, we're going to talk about now. We've been linked with, a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago when the transfer window was open. So there's no need to get all worked up about it because these links are there. They're just picking off up it again, and they are actually doing what the media should be doing at this point, and they're just reporting what they think is the truth, and it's up to us to decide if it's real or not, if you want to go with it, if you want to discuss it. Everybody's free to do that as well, as criticize it, but still, like, no need to be mad. We lost against Inter. These things happen. Again, it's Juve. It's big pressure. You cannot expect to be a Juve fan and not have the media try to destabilize you. Like, you cannot have both ways. Then you need to support a different club. It comes with the territory. You need to accept that. I see it as respect because we are a big club. We are the biggest club. We're one of the biggest clubs in Europe, in the world, not only in Europe. And we need to act like one again. And I think Juntili has will play a big part of it, and this comes into play, transfer news, because we lost against Inter, and we can discuss if it's Allegri, if it's the players. I think we can all agree, if you're Allegri in or Allegri out, the team needs to be strengthened. So transfer news will be leaked because we need to improve on so many areas, starting 11, squad wise, so many positions, that yes, they are going to talk about it, because you know what, we know that Juntili is already working for next season, so leaks will happen. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk, obviously, about Kroos, Koopmeiners, some other options, RABIOT, and an Anderson update as well. Before we do that, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, but especially hit that like button. Let's push to 85 likes at least, so hit that now, and let's jump straight into the Toni Kroos story. Excuse me. So the first story is Toni Kroos, and you might say, "Oh, complete bullshit and whatsoever." And I agree with the part that I don't think it's gonna happen, but I can see why the story is out there. I kind of believe this story rather than if the story was we are in talks with Toni Kroos or we approach Toni Kroos. So the news story is that Juve have been presented the option or the possibility to sign Toni Kroos. However, he's still his priority is to stay at Real Madrid and maybe do like Modric, sign a 1-year extension, and see it out. That's basically in a nutshell. So it's not that Juve approached Toni Kroos; it's he's been offered, and which that happens, because it's not sure that Real Madrid are gonna offer him a new deal. So if you have a good manager, he puts feelers out there to see what the options are if Real Madrid is not happening. Like, you cannot go at the end of the season and ask Real Madrid and they say no, and then you be completely unprepared. Like, a good agent puts his feelers out, and that's what happened basically. Do I think it's gonna happen? No, but I don't think that's a conversation. I think the conversation is, will you take Toni Kroos, or will you take a player like Toni Kroos with his talent, his experience, for one, probably two, at least 2 years at the club? That's basically the conversation. And for me, the answer is, well, obviously, yes. And let's take Toni Kroos, for example. He will be the best midfielder in the team. And it wouldn't be close as well, even at his age. And I don't know how old he is. I'm going to guess 34, maybe. That's a guess. Maybe I'm being a bit disrespectful. I don't know. But let's say 34. I didn't check because I don't really care in this scenario. The team is missing quality. Do I think we are going to bring in quality? Like, I like the idea that we've been linked with certain players age-wise, but you need a real quality. Like, you need an experienced player, I've always said, but he needs to have real star quality, in my opinion, to build around these youngsters. We don't have that, and if you give me the option, and it's all hypothetical, I know that, but That's what's out there. If you give me the option, 2 years, 20 crores on 9 million euros, or a signing bonus, or 3 years of Rabiot on 8.5 million euros and a signing bonus, I know what I'm gonna pick. Like I know what I'm gonna pick if those are the options. Though that's the hypothetical, that's what it is. Like, are you gonna give 9 million euros or 8 million euros on a free transfer to Rabiot, or are you gonna save that money completely, or are you gonna go this route? That's the big question for Juntili. I have a Rabiot update as well later on, but that's basically the big question for Juntili. Like, are you gonna go all in on all the youngsters? And Koopmeiners is not a youngster, but you know what I mean. Maybe still lacking experience at winning. Because this team we have, they lack also winning mentality, because you can win a bunch of games. That's what my point is. As long as they don't get over the hump and actually win stuff, that mindset will never be there. You can win 25 games every single season, not win the title, unless you make that hump, unless you win something. It's just not gonna creep into that team. Basically, it's just not gonna happen. The Coppa Italia can help a little bit with that. It definitely can. It's not as big as a Scudetto. Obviously, it can give the team or the club, the players, a little nudge, a little push in the right direction. But we still need some star quality, and we thought Pogba was that, but what happened there. So it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt to do that. That doesn't mean you need to make like 4 or 5 signings like this. We still need to be very sustainable, and let's see. Like, it's the same thing, Rabiot or him. I'm just comparing those two players because it's kind of the same situation. Only I think one is world class and the other one is just good at best, in my opinion. But that's Toni Kroos story. Will it happen? In my opinion, probably not. I'm gonna say like a 5% chance, but you never know, of course. Now let's move on to, the absolute number one target. I'm gonna read out 2 stories as well because it's all packed together. It's also from Gazzetta dello Sport, but actually it was all over the news yesterday and today. And that's Kroos Koopmeiners from Atalanta. I think Di Marzio has been very clear with his story, saying that he is the number one target. And actually, the moment the transfer window shut down, the club will be pushing to bring him in, try to secure him for next season as well. And when that came up, the price tag, we discussed that 50 million euros is crazy. 50, excuse me. But it also raises question, like, who's gonna go in midfield? Probably Miretti on alone. Alcaraz probably not gonna redeem them for that money. That's probably not gonna happen. Then you have Fagioli coming back. I don't know which role he's gonna play. We need to see. Pogba, something he might come back. I think it's done. I think it's completely done. Even if he gets, reinstated, basically, I don't think that's just gonna happen. I will be absolutely stunned. Then you have Rabiot's contract situation. So a lot of moving pieces you need to worry about. But he is the number one target. And Gazzetta dello Sport is saying that the club tried to bring him in this January, but Atalanta said no. That's not going to happen. And also, apparently, and that's Gazzetto's line all along, we didn't sell Sule, and that's why we didn't get the funds, basically. So the Sule one will always be up there. But Koopmeiners is also linked with this because it's a list, and the report went on with Kroos, Koopmeiners, Ferguson, Ederson from Atalanta, and also Højbjerg, which was... that was just a banter, that's actually to piss off fans as well. But like Ferguson and Ederson, I think they're just like, when I say bottom tier, I mean they have a list of a couple of names. They are bottom of the list, Ederson and Ferguson, in my opinion. 2 good players, by the way. I'm not saying they're rubbish and whatsoever. Forget about Højbjerg, but I think Koopmeiners is the main deal. However, it's very hard to go into details how he's going to play because, like I said in the Mota video, we need to wait and see. I don't want to talk about getting new coaching because people ask me, who do you want? I'm not going to answer that until I know the season is completely done. We cannot win the league, and you could definitely not drop out of top 4. And even then, I want to first play the Coppa Italia final if we make it as well. Because if we don't make it, that's my God, like uh, that will be absolutely a disaster if you don't win the Coppa Italia this season. Looking at the team still in it, um, but a lot will depend on is Rabiot gonna stay, but is Allegri gonna stay? Is he gonna be the coach? Which formation are we gonna play? Like a lot of these things depend on that, And will Koopmeiners be a good fit? Who knows? But until that time, we just need to keep in mind he is the number one target, and he probably is not gonna. It's not probably not gonna change as well. Um, Talking about Rabiot, there is from Mirko Di Natale saying that talks will actually really take place at the end of the season. Um, Same thing as last year as well. He said that Rabiot also potentially will have offers from abroad, but he will prioritize talking with Juve first and see what the club's future plans are basically. Um, I have no problem with keeping Rabiot, but not on that wage, because what he offers on the pitch is half of the wage, maybe. He's not an €8.5 million season player with a signing on bonus for 2-3 years. He's just not. I'm sorry, I've watched Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu. They are probably on half. Maybe not Çalhanoğlu because he was a free agent, but Mkhitaryan definitely is on less than half. And yeah, like, I'm sorry. If he's asking for €9 million and we give him, forget 9, let's say even 7.5, and we give him that, I will have big question marks about the club. I really do, because he doesn't have that much of an impact, that you're like, wow, that's just brilliant. Bring him back to Toni Kroos. If you give me both players on the same wage, I know who I'm going to pick. I am, because one won everything. That's real experience and real quality. Again, if Rabiot is like, hey, I'll take €4 million, I can see it. Definitely, especially if Allegri says, but even then, I prefer different type of players. I prefer a different style of players. I've seen I've seen Marquisio, Vidal, Pirlo, Pogba, and that was next level, but we are not even close to that. Like, we don't have one of those players, let alone four. We don't have one. We don't have a Marquisio level player, and probably many considered him to be quote unquote the lesser type of player, but he was unbelievable. We don't have anyone close to Vidal, Pirlo, Pogba. It's not even close. Like, it's not even close. And when I think about that, I'm like, that's the level we should be going at, aiming for. Will that be done in 1 year? No. However, that should be the goal, in my opinion. And to get there, you need to make the right decisions. You need to make the smart decision financially and also long term. Do you want a player like Rabiot on 8 million, 3 years at the club? Me personally, no. Because that's just not the level of football I personally enjoy. And if we are going to talk about financial situations and you're trying to move on, quote unquote, Chesney because he's on a lot of money, then this conversation should definitely be held as well. But let's see. Let's see what will happen in the summer. A lot of things can change as well. He can say I'm pretty done with it, depending on how the season ends, or maybe Allegri's gone and Juntil is like the next one up. He has a different idea, and we don't think it's worth giving you that money. Basically. So we need to wait and see on that one as well. And to wrap it up, Tuttosport on Anderson, that it feels like it's gonna happen. Like, everybody's talking about it. Romano, Di Marzio, Romeo, everybody is talking about, Anderson is going to join Juve on a free. Tuttosport spinned it towards, let's see what's going to happen with Chiesa, because he can take his place. However, no matter, even if Chiesa is going to say, they're going to sign Felipe Anderson. If Felipe Anderson comes in, I think Sule is gone. Maybe Chiesa, who knows, because that contract situation is very, very strange still. Because if you don't sign him to a new deal now, you need to sell him, and you need to sell him quickly. As well, and we will have that conversation later on, but that's just the reality. But the Felipe Anderson thing, I think it's more about Sule, and again, also depending on the coach. But the feeling is they're just going to sign Felipe Anderson no matter who the coach is. Is it going to be Motta? Is it going to be Conte, Zidane, Klopp for some, or Allegri? They're just going to sign Felipe Anderson. And I said what I said on Felipe Anderson. If it really gets close to it, we will delve into it much deeper. But even then, like, we need to see how the squad is kind of built. You know, which role is he gonna play? You know, keep in mind next season, a lot of games. Europe, even more games in Europe. Like, it's gonna be, I think, 8 games compared to 6, so even more games. And the squad is not built to play more games. So it's gonna be very, very interesting how Juntuli is going into this summer, making decisions on maybe players that are having too many injury problems or building the squad. So it's gonna be a very interesting summer with maybe, not maybe, probably not the biggest budget. So also keep in mind somebody potentially might be leaving. Who will that be? Who knows? But that's the video for today. I will be live later today. So stay tuned for that, and I'll also be live on Saturday for a preview. Yes, for Monday, but I will do it on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. But until then, like this one, and see you.